The Ben and Sweetie show has taxied and now we're taking off. This is the news review segment, and our guest this morning is Dr. Kwame Asante, and he joins us via Zoom. Doc, welcome aboard the AM show news review segment.
Good morning, Sweetie, and good morning to Ben. Ben, you've been missing in action.
Yeah.
Yes, I have been. I have been, but I'm back, and it's really good to have you on board as well. It's good to hear your voice.
Good to see you too.
Okay.
All right. So I guess, as always, we're going to give you your 1 or 2 minutes to share your thoughts on something that you're very passionate about. We are all ears.
Yes, thanks for the opportunity. Let me look at the Galamsey menace and matters arising. I'll begin with a question. Why do we want to wait till the last minute before we respond to things that affect our very survival? If you look at this menace and the fight against it, I want to salute those who championed the cause from the beginning, those who have joined recently, and those who intend to follow suit. Particularly, I want to salute Kenashibe and his people, salute CDD, salute certain individuals and groups, chiefs, media houses such as Joy FM, with a lot of documentaries and discussions on this matter. But I am disappointed in a whole lot of people who sat down and waited till this 11th hour, where almost everything have been destroyed. Even though I still console myself that better late than never. In governance, decisions are taken, and they are taken as fast as possible to deal with what's pressing situations. So I believe that going forward, our people will learn from this, that in governance is about your life. So you don't wait till somebody destroys everything that relates to your life before you come in. When you see something, you say something. Because the more you wait, the more things get worse. And it undermines your own survival and your own society. And I want to urge those who have joined the fight that we should not leave it here. We should take it to another level and make sure that we force the hand of government to act according to law. This is important because, yes, we can join the forces to fight, but if we wait, we fight to a certain point and then stop. We come back to square one. We end nothing. So we must gather the momentum, sustain the momentum, and then fight to the end. In certain countries, government or parties may lose power based on one issue. US people vote based on abortion, based on certain policies and all that. I am hopeful that the way our Ghanaian society, is going, a time will come, if not now, that people will look at certain specific issues that border on their communities and then decide to vote government in or vote party out based on that. And when people get to that level, I think all these activities will cease. I will urge Ghanaians to consider as part of their choices the factors that influence their choices about this Galamsey menace, and then decide based on some of such considerations in the election so that nobody can take us for granted.
See something, say something. Nobody should take us for granted, Ben. But should we begin with the newspapers? I'll start with the Daily Graphic. And Doc, I'll do the stories on the front page. Pick 3 main stories, and I'll come to you for your reflections on all those. Starting, strategic local development policy out. Document aims to drive sustainable economic growth. Lawyer shortage hits legal aid. Deal with errant election officials, according to Afarijan. I want to start from page 13 on the story about lawyer shortage hitting legal aid. The Public Defenders Division, one of the 3 functional divisions of the Legal Aid Commission, was able to resolve only 323 out of the 1,518 criminal cases it received between January 2023 and July this year. And this is due to shortage of lawyers. These are public defenders available to support the work of the division, charged with the mandate of representing accused persons who cannot afford the services of a lawyer. Currently, there are only 34 lawyers who act as public defenders nationwide. And out of this, it's only 12 of them that specialize in criminal cases and are concentrated in the Greater Accra, Ashanti, Western North regions, leaving some areas without any legal support. And this is a serious issue. Public defenders are lawyers holding public office in this country. And Constitution backs or demands that when a person is accused of a crime, he be represented by a public defender. If we have only 34 of these public defenders nationwide, then it is alarming. And this strategic local development policy out, let me get into that. The Ministry of Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development has introduced a strategic framework designed to promote economic growth and development at the local level, known as the Local Economic Development Policy. It's accompanied with its implementation plan. The initiative aims to empower local governments, communities and businesses to spearhead development by utilizing local resources, generating employment, and enhancing livelihood. And the framework, which was launched in Accra yesterday, emphasizes decentralizing economic activities to foster growth, as well as encouraging collaboration between public and private sectors to drive investment and innovation in local economies. I want to get to the back page and do the story rather disheartening. Ghana lost 81 lives due to suicide in first half of 2024. So Ghana has lost 81 lives to suicide in the first half of this year, with more than 500 attempted suicides over the same period. And these statistics, according to the board chairman of the Mental Health Authority, Estelle Appiah, were alarming when compared to the total record for the entire 2023, which was 48 completed suicides and 594 suicide attempts. Quote, "You can see the numbers are increasing. Suicide is a very serious problem that requires a serious public health approach for prevention." And this is Ms. Appiah saying that this, as at yesterday, the 2024 World Suicide Prevention Day Commemoration Forum in Accra further disclosed that men form the majority of completed suicide. And I like how they frame it, completed suicide. So there's attempted and then there's completed. I don't know why we are...
You don't know why we are...
You know,
people
seeing
are stressed.
this, Benjamin.
People are stressed on all levels. I keep telling, I go out there every day, and some of the stories I hear, you'll be shocked. I keep saying that times are really biting, bitter. I don't. Sometimes when I say these things, someone will say, "Oh, but we've had hard times before. How about 1983 and all of that?" Yes, but the way people are reacting to some of the happenings. How much is a loaf of bread?
20,
how much is a liter of fuel? So sometimes the additions don't add up. And the subtractions are so many more that if you're a family man or anything of the sort. You remember the gentleman who wanted to commit suicide, who also attempted, the one who climbed an electricity pylon or something, and I think some fire service or other people brought him down. When I watched that video, how many weeks or months ago? It just broke my heart. So look, over 500 attempts, 81 successful, and no surprises in there that men are in the majority, especially in our part of the world, and the pressures on men. All I'll say is, Charlie, let's keep hope alive.
Suicide is not
better
an
alive
option.
than dead. It's not an option. Suicide is not an option.
Doc, your reflections on these brief stories.
Yeah, I think I'll begin with that sad story, that we are getting increasing numbers in suicide attempts and complete suicide. That's very, very unfortunate. But I'm not a psychologist, but listen to experts like Professor Safo and the rest of them, we get the feeling that there are a lot of things we as a society, we are not doing right. We are not doing right. You live with people and they begin to talk to themselves. They make certain statements, they make certain signs. They are early warning signals. It is true that there are some people who are not aware of these things. They don't mean anything to them. Yeah. But if we care as a society, we'll put emphasis on these things than some of the things that we waste time to put state resources in. It brings us to the issue of what? Mental health. The importance we attach to this. Look at budget that we allocate for mental health issues. Yeah. It's nothing to write home about. Issue of what? Family, a social structure. Who cares a hoot about that? It's broken down. Who takes care of people who have lost their parents and all that? Orphans in our society. Do we have social welfare working the way they ought to work? Simply because they don't have resources to do their work. Mm. There are a whole lot of things as a society we have just abandoned it. And now the problems are staring in our faces every day, every now and then. What we do, we need to come back to the basics and get the basics right. Employ the right people to support us. Continue with the advocacy towards this area and make sure that we deal with the harsh economic realities of our society. We give people power to govern on our behalf and make sure that we live a better life. What do they do with this? They shortchange us at the end of the day. They engage in frivolous, expenditures and certain programs that do not inure to the benefit of society. And this brings us where we are. It's very, very unfortunate. What are the welfare systems that is supposed to cushion us against harsh economic realities? Because of political parties, because of our relationship with people in authority, we shy away from this by telling them to their faces that, look, this is no, and they engage in projects that do not bring us anything. Look at where we are. It's unfortunate. But I think we'll learn from this. My last one is to look at this local government development policy.
Yeah.
It is a good policy, but I want to pray that this will not remain just a theory in the minds of people. People will walk the talk and make sure that we develop our society. We've forgotten about the whole essence of decentralization. Is to sharpen the frontiers of our development and make sure that each locality will be able to act decisively. We ignore this. And a lot of things we could do in our society, we've forgotten about it. And we are waiting for the center. Because always government will not stay its hands on some of these things and then allow it to work. And we too sit down as a people unconcerned. But let us remember that vigilance is the price of liberty. If we are not vigilant, we are not going to have our liberty. And development always is triggered by freedom. If you are not free, you will not have development. And once we are a free society, let's use like this and bring development at the doorstep of the ordinary man.
I'm going to quote you, I think, for the rest of the week. Vigilance is the price of liberty. Benjamin.
I just want to...
I'm not the one who made that statement.
Okay.
Lord Bryce.
Okay.
He said, vigilance is the price of liberty.
When he talks of vigilance and that we are not vigilant as a people, just 2 points on that and back to the mental health briefly. It reminds me of this day where I was coming from, where the loom is, what I call that Adabraka, or getting to Central Accra. And this trot driver is coming from another end and just crosses me and all of that. Then he comes in front because you are entering a lane. You have to pause for those coming. He just... And I get out of my car because it was so bad. And I go to him and I'm like, he started insulting me anyway. But I told the people in the car that you see your driver doing this. You keep mute. You stay. He's doing this. If an accident happens, you look at this car. Does it even look like it's insured? So the vigilance he's talking about, we show a lack of it every day, everywhere. But if there's an accident right now, and maybe you are maimed, you lose a limb, then, people should come to my help. You could have spoken for that driver to stop, and you just kept quiet, knowing he was doing the wrong thing. But then, the mental health thing, people don't realize. If your mental health is affected, you can't be properly productive. Not at work, not wherever. You can't be the best father, the best mother, the best friend. Like every aspect of your life is inhibited, hobbled, if your mental health is not in the right place. Unfortunately, in our part of the world, mental health is, people are burning out, people are overworked, people are stressed beyond measure. And we just feel, oh, especially the bit about, oh, Bemadi.
There are other parts of the world where you can take a break from work to deal with your mental health issues. I don't know if we have the facilities in place or even if it's something we can do here.
We have the mental health authority, but even they, I mean...
Can I take 2 days off work just to deal with my mental health? And I think it'll be trivialized that mental health, who doesn't have problems in this country? We are all stressed, you know. Benjamin, let's get into your papers.
Well, I'll start with the New Finder newspaper. Access Bank storms 16 regions with job-creating, eco-friendly initiative. Fixed income market records impressive growth. Manufacturing subsector sees growth as tax collections, SNIT contributions surge. I think maybe I'll try and see what I can fuse 2 papers together. Let me start with the one on page 2. So the manufacturing subsector in Ghana showed significant improvement 5 months into 2024, as indicated by notable increments in direct tax collections and contributions to the Social Security and National Insurance Trust Pension Scheme Tier 1 by private sector workers. This is from data published by the Bank of Ghana's Monetary Policy Report, which covered the first half of 2024. Direct tax collections surged by 43.7%. Now, total direct taxes collected in May 2024 increased by an impressive 43.7% year-on-year, reaching 4.11 billion Ghana cedis compared to 2.86 billion recorded in the same growth period. We also have to look as well, of course, at whether it wasn't also some loopholes that we plugged in there, and an increment, of course, in the tax regime. There was something that came to mind that has eluded me. When it does return to mind, I will get back to it. But then the Ghanaian Publisher newspaper, FIDIC 2024, investments in roads key to poverty reduction. That's according to Asenso Boakye, the sector minister. Democracy flourishes with well-informed media. That's according to the information minister. YEA, Agric Ministry, empower youth in farming with tools and equipment. For about 100,000. We brought you that story in the news. But let me go to page 3 on that one. So the Minister for Roads and Highways, Francis Asenso Boakye, has stressed the important role road infrastructure plays in reducing poverty and boosting economic opportunities in Ghana. He indicated that the strategic investments by President Akufo-Addo's administration in the nation's road networks have not only improved connectivity, but also transformed lives, especially in rural communities. Speaking at the 2024 International Federation of Consulting Engineers Global Infrastructure Conference in Geneva, Switzerland, the minister stressed that road infrastructure was a key driver of national development. He revealed that the Ghanaian government had allocated approximately 18% of the 2024 national budget funded solely from the government of Ghana's revenue for road infrastructure, the largest share for any sector of the economy. And you do know that Mr. President has touted that his government has done more in terms of road infrastructure than any administration ever. Recently, there was the talk about the Tema Motorway, another initiative. Some people forget that there had been a first initiative, and I don't know, not sword cutting, but a commencement, and there was another commencement of that. But I think it's a shame, government in, government out, what we've done to the Tema Motorway. It shows how poor our maintenance culture really is.
And even the quality of materials we use in the repair works that have been, every year there's some sort of...
For the life of me, pardon the interjection, you have a concrete road, best class in the world, and you are patching with all kinds of things. And so you see that when you're riding on the concrete alone, it's smooth. Then you get on these ones and
and it's the same patches, Benjamin. It's the same ones that get... I don't know why we don't see the wisdom in just use the best quality once and for all, and then you save yourself money. Well, maybe let's get to Dr.
Doc, I don't know what your take is on these stories, if you may.
Yes, I think I'll start with the the achievement government has made in the area of road construction. Right. Beautiful, yes. But I want to remind government that road construction, building of infrastructure, health services and all that are the basic roles of the state. The state is supposed to provide others, protect you, provide you with the basic social services, infrastructure, and the rest of them. And if you perform your basic role, there's no point you praising yourself and all that. If you're a parent and you provide 3 square meals for your under 18 child, I mean, we don't need a press conference to shout out this ones. No, it's your basic role. What we expect from government is that go beyond your basic role. Me as a teacher, when I teach and I hold a press conference that you should salute me and all that, then there's a problem, right? Every teacher must teach and must teach well. That's your basic role. But go beyond the basic role. That is what we expect from you. That basic role, go beyond it. People have fixed infrastructure and they are now in the mood to get knowledge, to create employment for people, to get knowledge, to support society. I'm not saying going to the moon, but move beyond the basic role. And that is a challenge I throw to this government and future government. That look, we are sick and tired about the basic role. That the state will provide this and that road, water, these are basic. Every state is supposed to perform that. Once you perform that, we know that you have done your bit, all right? But if you really want your name to be imprinted in our minds and remain indelible, go beyond it. And that is where I take my strength from. Because we have wasted so many years. We fix roads. And at what cost? We fix the road and then we don't do it properly. And people take percentage out of that. We know the politics and the corruption in that area, right? And have we fixed that problem? People come and support us in so many ways and all that to fix even simple roads. And you ask yourself, what kind of country can we be? That
isn't it a scheme, Doc? I think it's a scheme by our governments because, let's not do it so well. It's like, how would I put it? You go to maybe your favorite cobbler and he has a way of doing it, knowing that in about a month you'll be back.
You'll come back.
So I can make some more money off you. I'll not do it so well that you will come back in a year and a half. I think it's a scheme. So they know, well, once you are taking kickbacks, the contractor can't do the work excellently well, as well as he ought to or she ought to. And then you do other things. So you know that in the next administration, we'll have to go back to that road. We'll have to get a new contract. We'll have to get new funding. And everybody gets money.
Yes.
So
I agree with you.
It's a scheme.
It's something I've observed over the years. And that you see that when they are getting out of office, you see road construction, all this thing. Just to tell you that, look, we've done this thing for you, good for us. But you see, government is not about the basic role of the state. You move beyond that. Somebody went to the moon, and the technology that took him there to communicate to machines and equipments that they've sent out there, give birth to the mobile phone you have today. I listened to Olenu on KSM show. And look at how the mobile phone industry is employing people all over the world. The state must go beyond the basic role. Once, if you provide 3 square meals for your children and you think that is development, it's a waste of everybody's time, including your own time. Develop your children beyond the kitchen.
Right.
Let them move out and shine.
Right.
And then the increase in tax revenue and all that is also the basic. If you study political science, we have what we call state capacity, and this falls in squarely in the area of extractive capacity. There are about 4. Time will not permit us to go through. But if you lose any of this, or you lose the 4, you are a failed state. One is that the state should be able to generate enough revenue for itself and run its own affairs. That is the extractive capacity. And then you put it into effective use. If you fail in all the 4, you have a failed state. I tell you. And so if we increase revenue in this area, fine, I'm happy. But what use do we put this thing in? What are the corruption avenues for people to milk us dry in this area? Have you fixed that? That should occupy our attention so that the state capacity can be maintained at all times. We don't want to be a failed state.
Thank you for those thoughts. I'll just add this, especially for us. Democracy flourishes with well-informed media. That's according to the Minister of Information, Madam Fatimatu Abubakar, who is calling on journalists to avail themselves of the capacity-building program, saying a flourishing democracy is built on an informed media.
Yeah. In fact, that story is also here on the News Center. I think that's 100 journalists begin third media capacity enhancements program training, and that's where she gave that speech. But let's get into the stories on the front page of the News Center. I think it's a new one. NIA issues Ghana cards in Canada as pilot registration of Ghanaians abroad begins. New local economic development policy to create jobs and empower communities. Yes, we've gone into that. As Empower FM's Ekosisen wins third CIMG radio program of the year. Congratulations to them. And bank records 5.4 billion Ghana cedis profit after tax in 6 months, according to the Bank of Ghana. Let me get into the story about NIA issuing Ghana cards abroad in Canada briefly. And it says, in a major step to extend Ghana card services to Ghanaians living outside the country, the National Identification Authority has begun issuing cards to Ghanaians in Ottawa and Ontario in Canada under the first phase of the pilot exercise. And the pilot phase has commenced. It will be extended to Washington, D.C. and New York in the United States of America. Last week, officials from the NIA and its technical partner, Identity Management Systems, held public engagement in these cities, after which they trained selected officials of Ghana's mission in Canada. So yeah, we are issuing Ghana cards abroad. I don't know how far that will go, but let me get into the story about the banks recording 5.4 billion briefly, and then I'll come to you, Doc. And that story is on page 7 of the News Finder. It says the banking sector posted strong performance during the first 6 months of 2024 on the back of sustained increases in deposits and other funding sources. The financial soundness indicators remain healthy with improved solvency, liquidity, and profitability. The industry's non-performing loans ratio, however, picked up due to an increase in the NPL stock as well as a slowdown in the pace of credit growth. All I have to say about this is, if the numbers are doing so well, you don't have to tell us. We would know. Let me quickly run through the stories on the front page of the Custodian. I'll come to you, Doc. NPP offers new funding model, expanding public infrastructure. Jospon Boss graces China-Africa Summit. Information Minister, that story is here, lauds media's role in nation building. And Mahama condemns DRIP initiative. Baumia will make history for NPP. Abu Jinapo calls for NPP's unity to win 2024 polls. Those are just some stories on the Custodian. Doc, any quick reflections, and then we come to Ben for a final paper.
Yes, I will look at democracy and the media. I am a student of democracy, and I'll remain so forever. Without media, democracy is meaningless. But we have seen a few things in recent times. And the recent time, I'm talking about even the Fourth Republic. If you read the state report of human rights as prepared by the State Department, it gives you gory tales of some of the violations against the media. If we are a serious society and we want to strengthen the frontiers of democracy, let's begin from there and see the weaknesses, where journalists are attacked, where journalists are maimed, they are arrested, illegally, and the rest of them. We need to be able to work on this. And then also come back to what owners of media houses, that we need to also ensure that those who deliver the public good also have what? Equal, remuneration for equal work. You see the report channeled by the Department of Communication at the School of, at UJ, telling you that a lot of people are paid very little. That is disincentive to work. So if we want the media to do the right work for society, we need to reward them accordingly. And then also continue with education of the media so as to also, limit some of the weaknesses associated with the media, such as what? Sensationalism in publication and the rest of them. If we tie all these knots together, I'm sure we're going to get a media that will stand the test of time. I also congratulate Asempa FM for winning that award. That's one of the very, very important programs, and it's a very hot program that over the years they maintain and sustain the effort. I urge them not to stop on this, but move on to higher levels and attain more laurels. I wish them the best, and we expect more from them.
Okay.
And in terms of, the generality of corporate entities, but especially media houses, it is horrifying in some places what they pay people. Some people are not even getting paid in the first place, right? It's a horror story, as Dr. Asan Asante would usually say. And especially considering inflation, the cost of living and everything, it's a really sad story. Something that
and you wonder, how do
ought to be
employers, how do they think that those who they are not paying, how do they think they should survive or they are surviving? How do they think they wake up every morning? How do they feed? How do they transport themselves to these institutions to come and work for you to make some money out of it?
It's a question for the gods, but it's also about the failures of our system, because in other jurisdictions, you can't pay people even for migrant workers, right? Who go even without papers. They are cheated sometimes. Recently, I was listening to a story on the BBC, a Ghanaian actually, somewhere in the UK, who was sent in. He had been trafficked. He didn't know it, so he was being paid even below minimum wage. He was on a ship. So you see, sometimes these things happen and all of that. It's taken years, no conclusion on that. But the point to be made is that in developed jurisdictions or better working societies, there are systems in place so that you can't even pay someone. Today, there's someone earning about 200 cedis somewhere.
Yeah.
200 cedis.
Yeah.
Is below our minimum wage, but the person is earning 200 cedis. There are people working extraordinary hours. And I don't want to mention names of any expats or groups or nationalities, but a lot of these people coming from other countries go to some of these so-called malls and the rest. Go and see. Just ask them how much they are earning. They are being abused. And as for the media, it is here. Let's not even pretend it. Me, I say it, and I will continue to say it. So it's a big problem, and it's one that we must sit up, face up to the issues, and address. But the Accra Times, Baumia's bold solutions fail to address Wale Wale NPP impasse. Kofi Bento declares Bagbin is my favorite speaker. 2024 elections are about Ghana, not NDC or MPP. That's according to Bagbin. Accra Times, you say 2024 elections, and then you say is. Accra Times. Anyway. And then Parliament confirms Electrochem concession. Let me just do these stories and then add something from the Daily Searchlight. Then it's a wrap from my end. So page 3. Oh, there's also that story of Bernard Mona winning the PNC flag bearership race. But Baumia's bold solutions failed to address Wale Wale NPP impasse. During the recently launched NPP manifesto event in Takoradi in the Western region, Vice President and flag bearer Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia outlined his vision for the country. He described his agenda as bold solutions aimed at tackling the severe economic hardships and high unemployment rates if he wins the upcoming general elections. However, a well-known Akan adage has it that, quote, one must seriously consider the condition of the person making promises to determine whether he can deliver. This sentiment reflects in the Vice President's home constituency of Wale Wale, which erupted into political chaos on Monday, September 9, 2024, during the rerun of the NPP's parliamentary primary. It goes on and on, of course. The person there as well, working in the office of the Vice President, Dr. Mahama Tia Kabiru. But of course, what the latest we know is that there was that statement from the party suggesting that Hajia Zuweratu, who is the substantive member of parliament, has withdrawn for the sake of peace and all of that. Not technically written by her, but by the party, and then her signature is there in the... But at least, I guess some closure has been brought to the matter. Twice the elections have been held, and twice there have been issues. Let me add this one. Parliament confirms Electrochem concession, and despite agitations and the spread of misinformation by some residents of the Ada Songo Salt Enclave concerning the operations of Electrochem Ghana Limited, a fully Ghanaian-owned salt production company, the Parliament of Ghana has recognized the significant benefits the nation stands to gain. These benefits include valuable resources and the creation of both direct and indirect job opportunities for local residents and the country as a whole. A parliamentary report following the ratification of 3 salt mining leases for Electrochem Ghana Limited on November 6, 2020, confirmed that there was no legal or factual basis to modify or revoke the 3 leases held by the company. But I would also say, well, it adds that the committee's report indicated that Electrochem Ghana Limited has made a direct investment of $88 million in the salt mining business. I have my uncertainties about some of what is captured in this story and about the future benefits of the Songo Lagoon and the salt to be produced. Some reports say that by, 2 years' time, we should be raking in about $1 billion. The investment vis-a-vis what the state will get, and the investment of the private investor, and of course, you must think about the private investor as well. But I think there's politics in this. You can't just poo-poo what the locals are saying. After all, for centuries, they've been mining in this place, and it has served the community. Of course, these lands are held in trust by the president per our constitution. But have all the right processes been brought to bear on this? I still have issues, because if they had, wouldn't still be seeing the pushback from some of the communities. And it's about politics. It's about interest. It's about resources. So some of these stories, yes, sometimes papers, we know what happens. But I'm saying that beyond this kind of rhetoric, we should dig deeper and ensure that especially the people in that catchment area benefit a lot. I know even chiefs and others in some places have been compromised. So even among the traditional rulers, there are factions on these matters. It's too bad. It's not being handled properly. So stories like this, painting a picture as though everything were right, and I think this one, I will not get into it. It's straightforward. 2024 elections are about Ghana, not NDC or NPP. Bagbin. Maybe, you know what, let me pause here and let you come in, Doc, and then before I do 2 stories, because I think there would be too many. Dr. Asan Asante, over to you.
Right. I think I'll start with both solutions and the problems at Wali Wali.
Right.
Very interesting development we are seeing there. When we say free or unfair election, what are we talking about? Elections devoid of irregularities, such as what? Rigging, snatching of ballot boxes, disruption of sorting processes, and the rest of them. And that, at the end of the day, those who contest election, when there is a winner, they declare that they have lost the election and accept defeat and abide by the rules of the game. That's all. Is that what we saw in Walwali? No. You saw what? Irregularity. Somebody snatching the ballot box in the full glare of the police and the rest of them. It tells us that there's more homework to do when we are going for this 2024 elections. We need to be able to make sure that structures are put in place and there are structures that work and deliver what the results. We should shy away from things like this because they are nothing but aberrations that really undermine the credibility of elections. And this should serve as early warning signal for us that, look, we are going to put up a team that will make sure that we stem all these tides and make sure that the election is devoid of irregularities. Remember, any of such incidents, when you see it and to a certain level, it will undermine the fortunes of the whole exercise that we have struggled to put resources in to execute on December 7th. So I think that it is enough education for the security apparatus, political parties, and watchers of the democratic space so that we do the needful and we prevent such occurrences, including the shooting of people in electoral areas and all that. We are not going to countenance this because this election is more important for us because we want to deepen and strengthen this democracy. It's the only game in town. Then I move on to look at Parliament and Electrochem story and the rest of them. I think Ben has said it all, and I'll add something to it. Over the years, we have seen the pushback, the conflicts in that area. It tells you that all is not well. Have they involved all the stakeholders the way they ought to? For me, as an ordinary person, I think that there is something that needs to be fixed relative to what we are talking about, so that all the stakeholders, owners of the land, the chiefs and the people will be part and parcel of this process, so that at the end of the day, they will own the process. They will own whatever system that is put in place. You and I are alive to the fact that this is what we call the white gold, salt. It gives a lot of resources to people and all that. So if we can manage and manage it well, we improve a lot of our people. So I think that we should stay away of politics relative to this issue and then address the issues and deal with them head on.
Right.
I differ slightly on this Electrochem issue. First, because I know what you're saying makes a lot of sense, Ben and Doc, because sometimes when the issues come to be on the surface, it looks like everything is intact. And then you dig deep and you realize that there are deeper powers at play, and then there's politics part of it. But I was quite excited that a wholly owned Ghanaian company, Electrochem, is taking the charge to actually mine this white gold, like Doc is saying. And so if there are issues, and this has gone to Parliament, it's not the first time this issue or so has seemingly been resolved, but there's still something going on. Why don't we focus on what the people are actually demanding for, so that this venture can actually be fruitful? If we stand to rake in about 1 billion Ghana cedis from mining, is it dollars mining actually, salt, and eventually we import salt. So I was thinking, this is a good step. So now that I'm just hearing what you're saying, and then the politics part of it, if there are issues, let's fix the issue. But what Electrochem is doing, I think it's laudable. It's just what I think. But
I don't think anyone is saying it's not laudable. You see, it's just like
so maybe what the people are asking for.
And pardon my allusion to maybe SML or the ambulance, the recent ambulance saga. There are many things we can do and say, and I have nothing against Magdan. He's someone I actually respect for where he's come from and what he's achieved. But with some of these things, you see, what people don't know often are the politics behind some of the things.
Yes.
And as for a Ghanaian owning some of these things, I would give it my thumbs up any day. But what are the circumstances? And in the end, who benefits? Who are the parties behind what? Look, the investment of $88 million we are talking about, and sometimes even our elections are affected by some of these things we don't realize because of lobbying interests. The $88 million we are talking about, if you have any business acumen, you know that it's not Magdan's assets alone that are in there.
Yes.
There are so many parties involved. Who are those involved? Who are behind this? What are the political sentiments behind it? And the people in there, you go to Obuasi and other places and we keep talking about, oh, they are producing gold and all that. What do the communities look like? We don't want a replication of that in Ada, in the Songo area. And if the problems have come up time and again, it is clear that it's not a rubber stamp by Parliament. And some of these parliamentarians, and I say it respectfully, I'll have 2 of them in the studio shortly. Some of them with these deals, we know. I will not say anything, but we know. So I'm not denigrating Parliament, but I'm just saying that we should be more, like Doc said, alive to the needs of the people on the ground. Sometimes to the detriment of the masses. So some people don't know certain things, but I'm telling you that even among chieftaincy, traditional rulers, they are split on this matter.
I'm just saying that.
Why is it that for one business, we can't get them, to know that these are your interests, these are our interests, we are doing it in the ultimate interest of the nation and all of that? Why? There are problems. Let's fix them. That's all.
Well, we're saying the same thing, really, but more, yes, we do have to go.
The Daily Searchlight, I'll just leave you with this headline. Galamseyers are Ghanaians. We won't shoot to kill them. That's according to NAPO. But of course, Another Bray himself has said that, oh, they, being the NDC, did worse than we did. When you hear that kind of rhetoric, then you know what time it is. A very happy birthday to Deputy Superintendent Nana Safwa Boateng of the Kotoka International Airport. And this is from Kwame Jumo Ajiman to you. Nana Safwa Boateng of the Kotoka International Airport, Deputy Superintendent, happy birthday to you. Thank you very much, Dr. Kwame Asa Asante, for having joined the conversation this morning. We're grateful for your time, sir.
You're most welcome. I wish you a good day.
All right, same to you.
Well, right before we go, the Energy Commission and Ministry of Energy, in collaboration with the Ghana Education Service and Ghana TVET Service, presents the 5th edition of the Energy Commission Senior High Schools Renewable Energy Challenge. And this challenge aims to develop the research skills of senior high school students and promote technological innovation in renewable energy. Competing fiercely in this thrilling competition are the following schools: Obuasi Senior High and Technical School, St. James Seminary Senior High School, Ola Girls Senior High School, Ahantaman Girls Senior High School, Bando Senior High School, Dabukba Technical Institute, and many others. You want to join us for the grand finale on Tuesday, the 8th of October 2024 at the Accra International Conference Center, or catch the broadcast live on Joy News at 9 a.m. same day. The event is proudly supported by GIZ, Ashesi University, French Development Agency, and VRA. Sports is coming up next. Please stay.